Unit 5, Relationships in Triangles. We're going to start off with some vocabulary. So a midsegment is a segment that joins the midpoints of two sides of a triangle. So if you take a look here at point D, it connects over here to point E. The middle of one side connects to the middle of another side. That is a midsegment. Go ahead and copy down the vocabulary. A midsegment is a segment that joins the midpoints of two sides of a triangle. So if you take a look over here at point D, the middle of side AB, it connects to point E, which is the middle of side BC. Perpendicular bisector, a line, segment, or ray that divides a segment into two equal parts and is perpendicular to the segment. Next vocabulary, angle bisector, a line, segment, or ray that divides an angle into two equal parts. Median, a segment that connects a vertex of a triangle to the median of the opposite side. Altitude, a segment that connects the vertex of a triangle to the opposite side so that it is perpendicular to that side. Circumcenter, we talk about these here. We will not be tested on it. The point at which the three perpendicular bisectors intersect in a triangle. So the point where they intersect is the circumcenter. The incenter is the point at which the three angle bisectors intersect in a triangle. Centroid, the point at which the three medians intersect in a triangle. Orthocenter, the point at which the three altitudes intersect in a triangle. Take time to review the vocabulary and look at the pictures that help explain the vocabulary. So, we will start with our lesson. A mixed segment is a segment that joins the midpoints of two sides of a triangle. So, triangle midsegment. A midsegment of a triangle is a segment connecting the midpoints. So, I am going to circle the middle of side AB, which is D, in red. I'm going to circle the middle of side BC, which is point E. When I connect those two, that segment is called a midsegment. So DE is a midsegment. So there is a theorem, so we can expect certain properties, certain definitions, and certain things that we can conclude. So if a segment joins the midpoints of two sides of a triangle, then the segment is parallel to the third side and half as long. Take a look at the picture. DE is parallel to AC. And we can conclude this now that we know that it is a midsegment. So I colored my parallel sides in blue. Also, this is stating that one side is half the other. So of course we expect the shorter one to be half. In other words, we need two midsegments to equal the third side. So using this, we can conclude that DE is parallel to AC. And also, whatever DE is, you can expect it to be half of whatever AC is to be. All right, let's review what we just learned from the midsegment theorem. So what we know now is that sides can be parallel. Okay, we just got to figure out which sides. And we know a midsegment is half the long side. These are two things that we know. So let's take a look and figure out which sides are parallel. So XY is parallel to side QS. What else is parallel? Well, side RS is parallel to side XW. That was hard to see. Side QR is parallel to what? Side WY. So number 2 says identify all pairs of parallel segments. So number 2 is for you to do and show your teacher. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to read the directions, and the directions are telling us that there are midpoints here, L, M, and N. So what we're going to do is we are going to fill in the given information. PR is 46. So this whole side, P to R, is 46. If that's the case and N is the midpoint, that means that P to N is 23 and N to R is also 23. P to Q is 40. So this whole side over here is 40, which means what? The smaller parts are 20 and 20. L to N is 17. So let me go ahead and write in here 17. If that's the case, Q to M, which is parallel to L to N, is also 17, which means M to R is also 17. We can now conclude that this whole side is 34. Now we can fill in our information by looking at our picture. L to M. L to M. What do you think L to M is? Because we didn't fill that in. Well, L to M is a mid-segment, is half of the long side, so it is 23. N to M is going to be half of its long side. Whole side is 40, so that's going to be 20. So let's go ahead and fill in our information. L to M is 23. M to N is 20. Q to R is 34. And M to R is 17. Okay, we're going to do number 4 together. We know that F, G, and H are midpoints. That is given. We know the sides of triangle CDE. F to G is 9. So this is 9. G to H is 7. And C to D is 24. That's a whole side, 24. Anytime we have the whole side, we can put in the parts, because G is the midpoint. Right? So C to F is 9. It is parallel to DE, so we know that this is 9. This is 9, so the whole thing is 18. We know this side is 7, G to H. So that means F to E is also 7. C to F is also 7, which means the whole thing is 14. You should be able to fill in the rest of the information. Thank you very much. All right, let's take a look at number 5. We know that we have a mid-segment because we can take a look at the markings. It says that these two parts are congruent, so this is a midpoint. I can look at the markings over here, and it says that these two sides are congruent, so now I know that this also is a midpoint. And when I connect midpoint to midpoint, I have a mid-segment. Well, I know that my mid-segment, I need 2 mid-segments to equal my long side. Okay, so I always want to put a 2 in front of my mid-segment, and in this case, my mid-segment is 7x. And my long side, which is parallel to the mid-segment, is 17x minus 18. All right, we're going to multiply. 2 times 7x is 14x is equal to 17x minus 18. We are going to subtract 17x from each side. And we get negative 3x is equal to negative 18. We divide by negative 3 and divide by negative 3, and we find out that x is equal to 6. Okay? So for number 6, we're going to set it up together, and you're going to do the algebra and show it to your teacher. Well, I know that I have a midpoint here and a midpoint here because of the markings. I know I need 2 mid segments to equal the long side. This time, instead of one term, I have a binomial, which is 6x plus 31. So I need 2 of those to equal the long side, which is 19x minus 36. Once you finish the algebra, make sure you show that to your teacher. Thank you. All right, number 9, we're given information that we have midpoints and mid segments. We're asked to find the perimeter, which is the length of the sides, the total of the sides of the triangle. And so what I want to do here, since I need to solve for x, I can try to figure out which mid segment do I want to use. Well, here is a mid segment, which is 6x minus 1. I know I need 2 of those, 6x minus 1, to equal the long side, which is the side that it is parallel to, which is 13x minus 10. This is the setup. Solve for x and show your teacher the perimeter. So now we're going to switch gears and we're going to be talking about angle measures. At first we were talking about the actual sides. Now we're going to talk about angle measures. So let's take a look at this angle right here. This angle is 127 degrees. It is right next to angle 2. So they are a linear pair. So the 2 of them should come up to 180 degrees because it's a straight line. So 127 plus x is equal to 180, and x is equal to 53. So now we know that angle 2 is 53 degrees. Well, take a look here. Angle 2 is corresponding with angle 1. So if angle 2 is 53 degrees, guess what? Angle 1 is also 53 degrees. Okay. Okay, let's see what else we know. We know that the angle over here in the corner is 59 degrees. So therefore the corresponding angle, angle 4, is also going to be 59 degrees. So we're going to go ahead and write that in, 59 degrees. So when we take a look at our triangle here, we have 2 angles already. We know that angle 2 is 53 degrees. We know that angle 4 is 59 degrees. And we know that all the angles will come up to 180. So we do 53 plus 59. And we get 112. And then we do 180 minus 112. And we get x is equal to 68 degrees. So angle 3 is 68 degrees. Well, if you take a look, angle 4 and angle 5 are a linear pair, so the 2 of them will come up to 180. So we're going to do 180 minus 59 gives us 121. So recap. What we did was we looked at our angles and we found all the linear pairs. After that, we took a look at our corresponding angles, 1 and 2, and 4, and this angle 59 degrees. So we wrote in all our missing information with the given information, and then we solved for the triangle. So I would like for you to try problem number 11. So we take a look at problem number 12. Problem number 12, is it information about the mid-segment or is it information about the angles? So when you look at it, this is information about the angles. Well, what's the relationship between those 2 angles? They are corresponding. So we know that when you have parallel lines cut by a transversal, corresponding angles are congruent. So we are going to set these equal to each other. Okay, and we will solve for x. Let's take a look at number 13. Is this information about the angles or information about the sides? And it is information about the angles. However, these angles are not corresponding angles. These are same side interior. So from unit 3, we take same side interior and we add them up. And we set it equal to 180. So it is very important that you pay attention to the angle relationships. Go ahead and solve those two. And solve problem 14 and 15 and show those to your teacher.